I lost my train of thought. Fuck.
You're alone again. I shouldn't be thinking of you, thinking of me. I know.
Hello, everyone. It's Mike, and this is the dailyBred podcast therapy session thing where I just talk. And this will be the third episode in a row, just like episode 22 since I started this. Wait, 2022. Yeah, it's been the third in a row. I'm trying to keep this going all year. 2 episodes back, I decided I was going to just do this weekly. Kind of gives myself a bit of a goal to just show up and talk about whatever's on my mind. And I don't really know exactly what's on my mind. It might be I'll just kind of piggyback last week's and keep this one kind of short, but you never know how it'll go. Actually, no, then I think about it. No, I think I'll talk about this. A couple episodes ago, I talked about how I talked to a medium, and I reached out to her again last week, or a couple weeks ago, when we set up a time to talk last week. And this time it was cool because there was a bit more stuff that I learned about, and I'm kind of on this quest lately to, I guess, to better myself or just focus on myself. So I'm just focusing on health, and I'm focusing on my business. And the medium thing was something where I wanted to kind of get some extra support. And it's cool when you talk to someone like this. Like she's great. She's my buddy's wife, and we've never met. And this will be our second time we talked. And then this round of talking, it sounds like we pretty much kind of like my dad came through, and then one of my grandfathers came through, and stuff she said was just like very specific, and it made me. I'm not a skeptic about this stuff, so I just think it's just because the open-mindedness helps me out. But there was just a couple things she was talking about, and she gave me some advice, and she said it's kind of like this mixture of where I'm talking through her to family members or loved ones. And but in the doing this, she starts kind of just giving advice about something. So she addressed one thing where she asked if I'm driving a lot. She's like, your dad's asking if you're driving a lot lately. And it was funny because I have been, especially last week. I would go out and get coffee in the morning, which I've said on many of these episodes, just to think. And last week in particular was a very, I don't know, it was stressful. I just needed to just step away from everything, just between every aspect of my life was just feeling very draining, or I just didn't know how to, not say cope. My brain just felt scrambled. And I would go get coffee in the morning, and I wouldn't want to get home, which is kind of like relieving because I have the ability, I choose to do that, and I do work for myself, and I choose to work for myself. I choose not to go try to apply for jobs with other people, and maybe one day that'll change, but I like it. So I award myself the ability to go get a coffee at like 8 or 9 a.m. and then just go, I'm just going to keep driving. And I just found myself just letting go and just not forcing myself to come home. And I would just let my body just like, all right, where do I want to go? And it would just, all right, I'm making a left. I'm going to go left. And it just would be on the road for like half hour, maybe an hour before I came home. And when I came home, I just didn't want to get anything done. So it was funny when she asked me if I was driving a lot, and I said, yeah. And she's like, yeah, it sounds like your dad's kind of been like your passenger through that to help you get through this stuff. And the previous conversation I had with her, she said, look, like there's this, I guess, lineage of these males in your family, and up till you, they typically wouldn't really express their emotions, and they would just push things down. And I'm the polar opposite of that. Obviously, I'm sitting here talking on a podcast and being very transparent and vulnerable about myself. So I'm polar opposite. And she said, like, they appreciate that you're doing that, but she said, like, through generations comes this along with your genes, there's this how does she put it, kind of like this mental baggage that note that isn't released from the previous person, and it kind of sustains, and it seems like I'm shaking that. And so it seems like they're kind of trying to help me to shake this, and if you could be listening to this and be like, this is complete bullshit, and that's totally fine. I'm totally down with just like, why not? Like, why wouldn't this be real? And it makes sense. And she said, you just need to be more open because they're trying to help you. So I've been open and just kind of being aware of these little things that are popping up more and more, where I would probably dismiss them, but when they pop up, I'm like, all right, I see this. I will try this out. And it's becoming more things are showing up. And she said, like, it's kind of like, she's like, your dad's like sitting shotgun with you. And it seems like you're very receptive. You're allowing this, and I am. And there have been things like happening where, and then she's like, you should start just like asking for things and just see how that goes. But one thing she said, which was, I was saying before, how she kind of gives advice, and I don't really know if it comes from her or comes from like, the other side. And she said that when you are dealing with something, you need to kind of pull it out in front of you and give it like a 360 look and just spin it around and just address it and notice it and feel it, and then it'll let it kind of go away. And I said I'm a person, I have a hard time with that because I'm very tangible. If I want to draw something, I can pick up a pen and paper and I can draw, or a computer program. I like to be able to physically control something, which probably says something about myself, maybe just control issues. But I said, I don't know how to do this. She said, well, why don't you just get a journal and write down what you're feeling? Because then you have it in front of you, then you make it real. And then she's like, then you can go and burn it and release it. And I thought that was really interesting because typically when I go journaling, I usually write about the future and I focus on where I guess I want to go. And it stresses me out because you're just kind of painting a picture of this, let's say this house you want, metaphorically. But then it stresses you out because you're like, but that would cost so much money. I don't know where that would be. I don't know how to get the money. So you start worrying about the how instead of just living in like that could happen. But when it's current and it's present and it's real, then it exists, right? And I liked the fact of that, of journaling about the present, which I never do. Like I would do the 5-minute journal where you say what you're grateful for and the things you'll do that day to make it better. But even then, right? I mean, the grateful part is like being present because you're like, these are things that make me happy now, and I know that they do because I'm writing this. But what can make today go well? You're still kind of guessing, and I like to deal with things like I like to daydream, obviously, because it gives me a goal to go somewhere. But I also like to take care of things because, especially being someone who's creative, I need to constantly make shit all the time, and I feel very fulfilled when I do this and release these things because I feel like I made something and it's in front of me and I'm staring at it and it's real. And when I never thought about journaling and creating something like about and talking about like what exactly exists, because then you can control it, right? So I did this the other. So I bought this journal. I went to Walgreens and I bought this one of those black notebooks with like the white speckles on it. And I ended up going to this place yesterday. This like brewery had a bar spot, like an open spot in their bar, which is rare nowadays. And I just sat there and I just took my journal and just started writing. And I wrote what I was feeling right now. And I also wrote about some past shit that I think a lot of people have a lot of things in the past that they've never told anybody. So I just like wrote about things like that. And I noticed that when I was writing currently, like what I was feeling, I was like my hand, it was almost like pressure, right? But then when I started writing about the shit that I need to deal with, I noticed that my handwriting started getting really sloppy and I was writing really slow. Like you can, if you look at it, which I'll never share, but you can see how the handwriting gets like really skewed. And I even read it. I'm like, you can even see right now as I'm writing that visually my handwriting's super fucked up. And after I did this, I just felt really good. I didn't get a chance to burn it yet because I don't really want to light journal paper on fire in my apartment in my sink and smoke my place out. And I also don't want to go into a field and start lighting things, especially in today's climate where people might be like, what the fuck is this person doing? So I got to figure out how to go and do that release part. And I don't know if anyone has any suggestions. Just you could just message me on the on my Instagram if you've done something like this before. But it just felt really cathartic, and I liked having control over that. So I think I'm just gonna start doing that more now. And I noticed lately I've been more, again, susceptible to things I haven't been open to in the past. And I think one of them, I've been through many podcast episodes, even recently. I've been very against, not against, it just hasn't been a focus of mine to date someone. And then I noticed, and then in last week, I said how I was feeling lonely. And I noticed this weekend where I was home, and Saturday, my head was really racing. Like I went to one of my favorite coffee shops, Brew in Raleigh. I went there and I was editing my other podcast. This was the scene. It's about the late 90s punk scene. If you want to go check it out. So I was editing that like I do every Saturday morning, and it gives me something to do that morning. But when I got home, I had the whole day to do whatever, and I just couldn't fucking figure out what I want to do. Like I felt like I should have been doing something, and my head was spinning because of this. And I lost my train of thought. Fuck. I ended up. I'm just gonna kind of keep going with it, but I ended up just like not. I just couldn't I couldn't get past that, and shit. Till I lost my train of thought. God, I could just go back and listen to this. I don't want to pause it. Shit. But so I know it's probably just because you guys just heard this, and it's like you're like you just said this. But anyway, so I just couldn't figure out how to get past that, and yeah, I just like I felt like I didn't know what to do with myself. So I don't know. Fuck, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of. Oh, yeah, that was it. Oh, that was it. Okay, yeah. So I got home and I was trying to figure out what to do. I'm just gonna leave that in. I'm not gonna edit that. I was trying to figure out what to do, and I realized that I would have been totally cool to have someone, like, say, I was dating someone, and to just say, "Hey, tonight let's make pizzas," or let's go for a hike, or let's drive somewhere far and just sit in the car and talk, or and then get food somewhere that's like an hour away. Or like I wanted to have someone with me to do this with, and I have not wanted that in a really long time. And yeah, I could do that with my friends, and my friends always want to be like, let's go hang out, and I love hanging with my friends, but sometimes there's a difference between hanging out with your friends and hanging out with someone that, and I think this was last week I said this, but someone you're intimate with. And I just felt like I wanted to have that person with me, and that is just, I mean, I haven't wanted that in like 6 years. And I have dated someone since I got divorced, and she was great. I've talked about her in other episodes, and she was awesome. But there wasn't like this strong connection, and I realized that I just wanted that strong connection. As scary as it is to give yourself away emotionally to someone, because my fear is if I include that person into my life, either way, one of you is going to go away eventually, and obviously dying, which sounds really morbid, but it's true. And the other one could be they just decide, or you decide to leave, and that's just heartbreaking, and which I've been through, and I don't ever want to go through it again. But I'm just potentially open to the idea that I'm like, fuck it, because I don't know if I want to live the rest of my life just by myself. And I've said many times I could be like 80 years old and alone. Like, I don't know if that's what I want. And I don't want to just hang out with someone just to hang out with someone. I don't want someone just to fill a space just to have someone there. Like, I want this to be like the best possible person and us for each other, not just someone there to be cool for me. Like I want to be that for them. And that was pretty cool to think about. So I think I'm on this like path right now, and I think having this podcast and being able to express this, even though I can see some people being like, I don't understand how this is matched with this snarky daily stick figure drawing comic thing, but I think it matches pretty well because that's just genuine thoughts that I have visualized, and where I just like making people laugh or making myself laugh. So that's where I currently am. That's what I'm thinking. So hopefully, I'm just gonna let that resonate a little bit. But if you do have suggestions on how to burn journal paper in a safe way where it doesn't smoke out your apartment or get you arrested because you're like you're setting fire in a field, let me know. You can just go to Instagram, Your Daily Bread, BRED. You can message me, or you can email Mike at Your Daily Bread. Actually, no, don't do that because I'm canceling that email because I never use it. But yeah, you can message me. Besides that, as far as the comic goes, I'm trying to think of new ideas on what to do with that. So I'm gonna create some wallpapers that people can use on their phones. Something else I did. I was thinking also too of on my website adding quizzes, kind of like what the oatmeal did. Doing wallpapers is like a whole list I wrote yesterday. Do a new book, maybe make a calendar. I could start selling prints, like hand-drawn prints. I want to do digital sticky notes where they're printed and they're already set up and people can put them around town. I'll do animated lyric videos for bands I like, but just like be small, little short clips. I'll do like a big book of the drawings, make it like really fancy looking. Make koozies, fake commercials for brands. This seems kind of funny. It's kind of like it's just endless opportunity with this character. I can just do whatever the fuck I want, and I just keep getting in my own way. But I think hopefully through talking, I'm gonna fix that. So, but that's it. Uh, Hopefully this was helpful to someone else, and maybe that's what this podcast will be. Maybe just me talking is gonna help other people get through some shit. But yeah, if you feel like sharing the podcast, please do so. You can text a friend and say this episode I think might help you, and you can give it a rating if you want, because the more people I guess know about this, then maybe it'll help some people. So maybe that'll be like the direction for this. Like maybe that's my purpose for this episode. But cool. Go be good.
Thanks for it all.